Welcome everyone, we'll be doing a Path to Arah guide today as someone requested it. We'll be starting out with the traits actually. Haven't set those yet. We'll be running 10, 30, 0, 20, 10 today. It's a regular Arah build, Brazil may have shown to you before. It's really effective and is unlikely to change much in the upcoming patch, so it's a great thing to use here. We'll be skipping these cutscenes if we can. Path 2 is the easiest for solos at least, which is why I'm showing you this. There we go. Okay, well first off we're going to start with getting some stacks. So I'll get an offhand and a main hand weapon for precision stacking. We're going to kill all these nice spiders over here. However, just to be safe, it may be smart to get some anti-condition and lure them near the NPCs instead. We'll be doing that in a second. The spiders. There we go. This is the part where the pact actually gets useful, which is surprising. Doesn't particularly matter how much you get hit, as long as you stay alive. Just let them do the work. Shatter a bit, it's always fun. And lure them to another group. Okay, it's 24 stacks. Get one more, nope. Oh, that's good enough actually. Okay, as we'll be, well, there will be running a lot of mantras here. For the skipping part is not really useful. So while we're keeping the mantra of resolve, we'll be putting some stealth skills on the other side. That aside, you should be changing this trait to far-reaching manipulation so you can blink a little further. It's always useful. As for the weapons you'll be using probably for the fights, that's well, a focus and an offhand sword as well as a main hand sword, which I'll be looking for now. I've got a sigil of force and a sigil of undead slaying myself. I've got special weapons for Arah. I've also got a centaur set which I'll be using for the running, in which case the mantras actually come in handy. Okay, we'll be getting some lovely swiftness. Look through this one. It's possible that you'll get some poison here. You can just remove that really quickly with your mantra, like that. Try to stay stealthed. And if you can't stay stealthed long enough, try to pull that, well, interrupt the Deadeye with the temporal curtain. Run through the middle so he doesn't bug out. And try not to die by the cutscene. Okay, this way, one I've actually aggroed, plus the walls aren't up yet. So that's great. I just have to wait for the skills to recharge. Massive visibility, I won't be waiting for that one to recharge. Feedback isn't, well, time warp isn't all too useful, in solo settings at least, so we won't be using that a lot. For this fight, I'll still be using the mantra of recovery. It's quite useful, just for the damage boost which you get from the trait, which is right there. In the meantime, you should change this Phantasmal Fury back, and you should equip some useful armor. I'll be going for the assassins right now, which is great. Assassin's weapon will be fun too for this, because you're dealing with a lot of reflex, and reflex are not affected by power because that coefficient is added by the mob. But precision still works. It affects your ability to crit, and the crit damage obviously has some effect. Okay, I'll be using blink just to get out of things quickly. Offhand sword again, focus, and using some food. Although Belka is technically Inquest, the potions of undead slaying work. Arena's been nice enough to make everything in here undead, which is sort of thoughtful, I guess. And because I'm a cheap bastard, I have these really cheap food things. You can pretty much use anything like slices of candy, candy dragon raw, and if you can, the best food is obviously the bowl of curry butternut. Bowl of curry nut butter. Wow, that name I'm not going to pronounce even. Okay, you could use energy sigils here. It's also useful if you have problems staying alive at least. Okay, let's start this fight. Okay, I have to watch out for that one, obviously. Okay, while this reflection thing is up, you're going to have to dodge with either Blood Frenzy, normal dodges, or just try to use a sword block. Watch out for that one again. And when she is reflecting, the use of the warden is still quite useful because the projectiles won't be reflected at you directly, they'll be reflected at the warden, so he'll be taking the damage instead of you. Make sure to use your mantra when necessary. Something else which is nice to know about this fight, the red circles that you see, those are fire fields. This fire will actually increase in intensity as the fight goes on. So not only will there be more red circles, they'll also do more damage if you get into them. So be sure not to get knocked back into those circles around the end of the fight. Okay, so as you've seen, I'm using the environment to my advantage here. Standing behind the wooden construction is always useful, although it can be a bit risky when she's using a massive attack. It can hit quite a lot. After the reflection field starts going up, the first attack she will do is a knockback. This could potentially knock you into the fire fields and damage you a lot. Also, after this knockback, she will shoot out the pulsing orb attack. Try to keep the reflections up at all times, and don't get hit unnecessarily. There you go. She's dead. I was playing pretty defensively, that's no problem. We're not going for a speed kill here. That's for another time. Alright, this part can be a bit tricky for Mesmers. Personally, I like to use the Order of Whispers spy kit for it, but I won't be using it this time. Because I can understand that some people just don't have it with them. So we're going full stealth again. And the centaur is set. By the way, make sure to turn off auto-targeting. This will make decoy just stealth you and not get you into combat by creating an illusion. Switching back to Infinite Light. It's always nice switching back to the berserker after this. Okay, so for traits, going back to far-reaching manipulations, you could also change to blurred inscriptions, then combine it with the signet of midnight. This will give you 1 second of invulnerability instead of invisibility. I personally won't be using it. If this works out for you, sure, go ahead. Try to put up the veil over here and dodge through it. This is because the spiders sometimes hit you in this particular corner. So you have to make sure you keep your stealth up constantly. And once it runs out, you just dodge through and blink, then walk to the back of the area on the left. And try not to get any spiders behind you. If you do, you can try and proceed to the next area in one go. And if you have any sort of spy kits, you can just stealth and get their aggro off. Okay, so for the next part, it's running again, and we'll be doing it the exact same way. Just put up some swiftness, stealth, and get as far away from the Risen as you can, and get into this tunnel. For the next part, this is running again, so having no stealth off cooldown will get you killed. This is while we'll be waiting for the veil to go off cooldown, which is up now, and then blinking all the way over there. Make sure to use Blood Frenzy when you have to. Dodging obviously works too. Just like you just saw, sometimes the 2 seconds on Veil plus the blink will not get you through entirely. They'll still attack you. If you cannot handle this, you should wait for mass invisibility to go off cooldown. The 5 seconds of stealth plus the blink will definitely get you through. The next part will be sped up a bit because we'll be running through a zone without any enemies. For these running bits, it's advisable to just keep up swiftness constantly. It's not going to make the run smoother or anything, but it'll just be a little faster and it will be less frustrating. Okay, as you see, I've targeted the Drake. We'll be killing this one, just because otherwise you may get in trouble with the next technique. Also, we'll be destroying this body so you don't fall into that accidentally. Everyone knows how to kill drakes, I presume, so just make sure to get a lot of reflex again. You can take Assassin's Gear or Berserker's Gear, should be enough. Okay, so you can just rub them if you can't get the reflections up as quickly as you'd love to. But honestly, it's not that big of a problem if you can't. They're not actually all that strong. Okay, so for the next part, we'll be luring these handlers first. We'll be putting them here and killing them. You'll want to get at least like 6 or 7 rifles. I am unaware of how this works in a group setting, but in a solo setting, you can just lure these with the mantra of pain, surprisingly. So we'll be dodging backwards, and you can see only the handlers are joining us. Put up the temporal, pull them in, hit them for a bit, always great. Sometimes they still get hit off, but honestly that doesn't really matter. Okay, so we've got 2 rifles now, and we'll be going for about 6 or 8, like I said. In the meantime, you can switch back to Phantasmal Fury. And instead of the blade training, I'd go for Duelist Discipline. You'll see why at the next part. For the sake of it. It doesn't really take long, but if you run out of rifles during the fight, this can get really tricky. So always get as many as you can. I mean, 30 seconds is something to get 2 more rifles. It's not going to hurt you at all. Make sure that your food or nourishment stays up constantly. Yeah, I thought it could get away. Okay, go for Mantra of Distraction now. And switch to Pistol, whichever one you have. I'll be taking this one, it's got an Accuracy Sigil. So take that one and the Offhand Sword. Okay, so you should try to get the Berserker Abomination towards you, but alone. Right now there are handlers, so I'm going to attack those first and kill them again. There you go. Now we've got the other handler too, so that's good. Make sure to use the sword block, riposte, whenever you can. It's one of our strongest single target attacks, and it's definitely our strongest direct damage attack, not counting reflex. Okay, so get the Abomination here, just aggro him really easily. Maybe block that one, could be useful. Okay, so try to get him here. Actually, I forgot something. We'll be going for the Mantra of Concentration. Luckily, Yissa is cooperating. Try to keep these ruts going. Just getting that Defiant off there. Make sure to lure him to this location. Honestly, you don't have to dodge all of his attacks. It's actually advisable not to. For his main attacks, you can just stand behind him. As for the AoE, that one you do have to dodge or block. Okay, right now you can still summon some illusions. This will change in the future. Okay, so once he uses his AoE attack, or once he uses this one, you're just going to grab a rifle, make sure to use stability, shoot him, and then keep going. So once he uses his AoE like this, you're going to run over here, put up feedback because he's going to use that massive boulder attack. Then make sure to lure him back here. This way, you're going to have these duelists up and they will stay up. I'll let you try this one. You have feedback up and, well, you have feedback off cooldown and you have the duelists off cooldown, obviously. The best thing for this is actually to use it whenever he has only one Defiant stack. This way you can use Magic Bullet when getting back. I'll show you that in a second. The next AoE. So you can just immobilize him so he doesn't get too far. Like I said, make sure to use the sword ball. However, only use this when you do not have 3 phantasms up. Otherwise, you'll destroy them. Okay, so make sure to pull him away from these duelists as far as possible, so he doesn't wreck them with his AoE, like that. Obviously, it's important to keep looking at your mantra of stability. If you do not have one ready, you will be knocked back during the berserker phase, and he may destroy a couple of your phantasms as he's close to them. If you keep all the illusions up, the phantasms, and just keep hitting him, this should go quite smoothly. Even for the Mesmer or low damage class, you don't even need too many rifles. You could go full Assassin's Gear here as well, but as you can see I keep up about 20 bleeding stacks already. So the added precision won't really help all that much. So the critical chance on the illusions won't increase even, well, significantly. The direct damage will decrease there. There we go, Abomination dead. If you got this far, this is pretty much as far as you need to go for Lupicus. However, there is still a group which we need to kill. So for the next group, people probably know this one, it's the Hunter. However, reflections are obviously important here, but there are so many small risen that you won't be able to kill them all by using only his axes. This is what we'll be waiting for this escort to go a bit further, because the Hunter will just separate from the rest of the group. Also, if you died before, this is a great way to get your stacks back, your precision stacks. At least if you went down. This is usually where we do it. Also, you want to change this trait back and take your focus again. So for these guys, just aggro them a bit. Try to get them near the wall. Then just pull them with a nice warden. This doesn't always go all too smoothly. Just like it went now, but honestly, it's not a contest right now. Okay. So as you killed this group, there's only a couple of farmers left. You can probably kill about a couple more. I'll be switching to my perception focus again because I only have 24 stacks. Could have 25. It's always useful. Okay, because the warden attacks several times, you'll be starting with that one. Plus it'll be hitting the hunter in general. So we start with a warden. Make sure to keep the reflections up constantly. And the warden's already died. This is why you killed the farmers alone usually. Didn't kill enough apparently, because the hunter didn't start with his axe. So you can just move left, right, he'll miss as long as Yessa doesn't get in the way. Put up a warden again. Kill him. Everything should be fine. Okay, and keep going. Actually, right now it's smart to change back to berserker's gear. Okay, so don't stand on the ledge. Sometimes there's a guard turret right below us. I'm just going to get close enough to spawn the warden. Spawn it. There we go. Should pretty much destroy the turret completely. Check for the other turrets and make sure that there aren't any risen that are too close for comfort. Don't want to risk anything, and definitely not those illusionists, the pesky bastards. So make sure to hug the wall, just in case. For these guard turrets, as you know, these are blind as you stand in the hits. So we're not going to do that. We're going to wait for this blind to go. And we're going to cast the Phantasmal Warden, then jump up. We're going to cast it, jump. I should be able to spawn it. Looks great. Maybe put up a curtain as well. Just destroy it. Okay, so next up we're going to kill these abominations. These guys. And for that we're going to get the Signet of Midnight. It's not traded, and that's intentional. We just need it for the blind. And aside from that we're going to go with some mantras to increase the damage again. Make sure to stay in the corner, otherwise that attack is going to wreck you. Put up a temporal curtain and interrupt them. Then Signet of Midnight for a lovely blind. Switch to sword and release the riposte. Should work most of the time, but sometimes the ball gets in the way. It's not really relevant. Aside from that, just try to avoid the attacks as much as possible. But frenzy, of course. Use the curtain again. Use the signet again. Just keep going. If your illusions are going to die, just like that one just now, make sure to shatter it so it's not useless. There you go. Those are dead. Hug the wall again. Get to Loopy. Okay, so as for Lupicus, I am not going to explain the entire fight. It's kind of a bother. If anyone wants an explanation on this, you can watch the other guide. It may be a bit outdated, but the mechanics are quite right. I'll still be killing it, the video, probably speeding it up a bit, but you can see what I do. Okay, we're going to change for feedback. Keep this mantra of concentration. It's useful. Or you can keep the mantra here too. And right now I am going for assassin. Well, no, actually I'm going for berserker's gear. This is because it helps a lot with the swarms, the initial swarms. I've heard a lot of people will have trouble with these. In assassin's gear it is a little harder because you have less power, and you'll just be hitting a bit less direct damage on the swarms. However, with the assassin's gear, Loopy should go a bit faster because of the reflections, of course. Okay, so we're going to check the nourishment. Looks like this is almost done. For Lupicus, we're actually going for the bowl of curry butternut squash. Whatever. It's the last one. Oh god. Okay. Be sure to check your traits and change this one into deceptive evasion. This is because you have compounding power. So for the extra 3%, you are going to want these extra illusions. It's always useful. Power mantras will affect the reflections, and the rest kind of speaks for itself. We're starting this fight now. Could go for time warp actually. It's always useful, as everyone knows. Okay, so for the start, make sure to use Blood Frenzy to dodge his drop spawn. We're going to try and push him towards the wall. This will make him spawn significantly less swarms, because they sometimes manage to spawn on the wall behind it. As far as swarms go, it's a really lucky kill so far. You can actually use the riposte pretty late, so we don't have to worry about that. This is where the blood frenzy dodging actually comes in really handy, because you'll be hitting with Lupicus at the same time. Don't like blood frenzies to unlock you though. Also the warden, of course, is very useful. Okay, you can spawn an illusion so he gets the grub instead. Right now it gets a bit tricky. I could say that. Just keep on walking in the small circles. Shouldn't be getting hit by the locusts. At least not all too much. Okay, so if you don't have reflex, just dodge. Use blood frenzy. Don't do it the other way around though. After using blood frenzy, you get a small amount of time in which you are unable to do anything. The evasion will be gone and you will be locked in place. During this time you are also unable to dodge. One's obviously useful for this as well. The projectiles are aimed at you, so if you just stand in the wall, there's a big chance that you'll reflect quite a lot. Loopy does hate them though, so in phase 3 definitely you'll notice that he attacks them a lot. Okay, so as for the bubble, make sure to dodge out and use the power break for that. Standing still does decrease the amount of bubbles if you're standing at the right location. With Blood Frenzy, you can dodge a total of 3 ticks from the AoE life drain. However, you'll have to time this right. You need to be aware of the time in between ticks, and then use it just before you expect the second tick to hit. So as I don't have any distortion or stability mantra left, I instead use Blood Frenzy to try and negate the ticks from the Necrit Trap or Bubble. For those who did pay a lot of attention, I did actually use the invulnerability, the distortion F4. However, this activates really weirdly. Sometimes the distortion is late, which makes it hard to dodge with. Try to keep your mantras up, just for the extra damage. And if you are able to get the 10% damage boost from the Scholar runes, don't hesitate to use that last mantra of recovery charge. A swordsman, by the way, you can use that in phase 3. However, when it dodges backwards and is targeted by the single target attack, you may get hit by it, so try to not stand next to it. If you have a Phantasmal Warden up and you see Lupicus use the single target life drain, there's a big chance that he's not aiming for you. As before I said, Lupicus does not like the Wardens, and for some reason he attacks them more readily. This also applies to the single target life drain, and actually especially applies to this attack. There you go, Lupicus is dead. Okay, so for the next part we're going to wait for the feedback to recharge. And we're going to change back to the running gear, so take away this one definitely. And just get far-reaching manipulations. Also, switch to your Centaur's gear if you have it. Blink. Decoy obviously, and fail. There we go. Okay, so start with some... Oh! What was good at this? Elite skills. You should have taken mass invisibility there. My bad, guys. Make sure to dodge there. Deadeyes aren't really that hard to dodge once you get the hang of it. You need to dodge about 2 seconds, 1.5, after the mark appears underneath you, which indicates that you're targeted. Time to jump underwater with my level 1 aqua breather. Okay, so next up are these sharks. You might want to skip through those if you still have some stuff. Otherwise, you can try to interrupt them, or actually we're going to use this for the next part. Make sure to spawn an illusion. which you can, and then use your invulnerability. They still sometimes hit you, but at least not as much. Plus the knockdown is not as bad. So we're going to go to the right here instead of the left. On the left side there are a lot of mines. I'm not completely sure why Arena gave us two different paths, with one being significantly easier. Just remember that you always have to choose the right one. Just in case, you might want to use some stealth here, so you don't get targeted by those technicians. We'll be going on. Okay, so you'll have to look for the path with the least technicians. Stealth, blink away. Another option is just to hug the wall on the left. You shouldn't be getting attacked by any technicians from there. So next up is alphard. The fight is a bit weird. It almost looks like we're bugging him or her. Honestly, we're not. Nobody's sure if it's a guy or a girl, I think, actually. But we'll be putting up the well, assassin's gear, because we'll be doing a lot of reflection here. So we'll be going for, well, mainly for the focus. The offhand sword, probably won't be using that all too much. Anyways, this is the part where you may switch to mirror. I won't be doing it myself this time. I don't find it all too useful. I will, however, be switching to mimic. Also, I'll be going for mantra of resolve, as alphard's illusions actually also inflict bleeding. Next to that, I'll obviously be going for feedback. Time warp may not be a really great idea, because phantasmal wardens actually get affected by it, and because the duration of their attack decreases, the duration of your reflection will decrease, and you'll be vulnerable, quite vulnerable. So I'll actually be starting with the temporal curtain, because she often does the pull first, which will interrupt your wounds and make you quite vulnerable. So we'll be starting with that. See, there we go. There we go. Just wait for the warden to attack again. Okay, so time the wardens properly so they follow each other. So it's a bit of practice, perhaps, but you should be able to get it done really easily. If she's not shooting, it's not really necessary to use something like feedback, though. Once all of the illusions get spawned, it may be a good idea to put up feedback. If you run out of reflections for some reason, well, feedback and or wardens, you can just stand in the middle and use mimic. I'll be using that now. After the first projectile is absorbed, it will reflect everything else that shot at you. Just keep hitting. This really isn't too hard. If he somehow managed to get in a sort of electricity-like looking buff, I think it's called lightning actually, then you need to watch out. Then you need to stand behind one of these boxes and watch out for the upcoming dagger storm. Bounces between targets, so if your wardens aren't reflecting it, they may actually end up killing you. Sometimes the wardens push alphard away too much. You can just push him back by obviously auto-attacking. Okay, so that's done. You can, by the way, try and pick up a little more loot from these guys. They do drop something, but it's usually not worth mentioning. Okay, so the next part is a running bit again. We're going to change to our running set of centaurs, and in dueling we're going to change for far-reaching manipulations once again. Alright, aside from those changes, we'll also be going for the torch this time, which is quite a surprise. I never used this, but it's useful here. Again, full stealth, mass invisibility, veil, and our favorite decoy, obviously. The prestige we'll only be using at the end somewhere. So we're going to run through here. Watch out for that ignition. We're going to stealth through there. Just because he's a real pain in the ass. There was a recent patch. You used to be able to get on the boat to lose aggro. However, that's no longer possible, so it's kind of sad, but we'll have to live with that, I'm afraid. Okay, so now we're going to wait for the recharge. And we're going to run through this bit in one go. It's quite the walk, so you might want to relax at some point. I'll show you that as well. Okay, so now that everything's recharged, we're going to go. Just get some of this. Some stealth. Just try to keep it up. And then instead of going to the left with the torch, we're going to go here. This is a nice place to relax. There are no mobs here at the moment. And well, you can just calm down here a bit. If you're new to this, it may be quite confusing, everything, so running through the entire way may not be advisable. Next to that, we'll be waiting for Blink to recharge, so we can go through with the torch. Or with the decoy, actually, that's fine too. Okay, so we are at the last boss, which is great. We are, however, going to change sets again. Okay, for this one, Bree, she is well, phase shifted, so we're going to use this console, this terminal, and we'll be phase shifted as well for about, I think, 30 seconds max. I'm not completely sure. However, the problem with this is that your illusions will not be phase shifted, so they will not be able to attack her. This is why, just for this special occasion, we will be switching to a shatter build. What sort of? We're going to go for Mental Torment. I'm going to take this one off, obviously. There isn't a lot to replace it with, actually. Deceptive Evasion is nice for this, though. We'll be keeping Empowering Mantras, of course. These are also not all too useful. We can take this one, sure. It's fun. Oh, this one's nice too, yeah, whatever. Compounding Power is alright, I suppose. You can keep that one if you want. Mind Rack Crit Chance. I won't be going for that one this time. I do already have a lot of critical chance. As for weapons, we're going for, well, damage again. Infinite Light, Berserkers, and there we go with the offhand sword. The offhand sword is also quite useful here. It has our, I think, strongest single target direct damage attack, which is great. As for the utilities, going for mantras for the maximum power or damage. Don't really care which one you take. They're not quite useful here. Also, we will be using Time Warp this time. I don't use that a lot, but it is useful here. Okay, so we're going to start off. We're taking Nourishment. Nourishment is almost gone. We're going to use some cheap ass food. And we are going to go in, shatter, and well, hit it to death. Welcome to Guild Wars. Let's go.
Some assistance would be appreciated.
It's a pretty bad shatter there. There's more opportunities. Got a nice block. Going for another shatter. And the 50% mark is reached. We have to do this quickly, because otherwise the mobs outside of the fight will destroy the terminal. You'll be back behind a certain wall which will be small. you'll have to run back, and it's kind of a bother. This is a way you could use time warp to kind of speed up things. I like to use it at the end though, because you have a lot less damage here. Make sure to keep on shattering, of course. Her attacks are pretty straightforward, just make sure you don't get hit by the purple beam thing. She's stationary though, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. There we go. Operative Bree's dead. If you're lucky, you get a recipe from this, but I doubt that, honestly. Before this boss, you can also just sell the spots if you're interested. Okay, so thank you for watching this video. I hope it helped out. Anyways, if you have any questions about anything at all, you can leave those in the comment section below. I answer them pretty quickly, usually within a day or two. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you around on the channel.